Hi, I thought it might be useful for people if I just showed you some typical ways of telling if your GT155 or GD131 PCB is faulty. This is a faulty one that I've got for repair. So if I just show you what's happening, this represents the direct hot water pump. That's running at full speed. That clearly shouldn't be doing that. And you notice that all the LEDs are on down at the bottom here. And more importantly, there's nothing on the display here. It's not showing anything. Sometimes you will get the odd random dot or something like that, or a dash or something like that. But it should say dash OK. I'll show you that in a minute anyway. But also, more importantly as well, if those LEDs are on, the boiler pump and central heating pump should all be on as well. And clearly they're not, because these lights aren't lit up. These lights simulate them. And that's a dead giveaway, really, that there's a problem with it. And it should be repaired, basically. So now I'm going to turn that off for now. I'll come back to it when it's been fixed. Okay, this is the same PCB that we were just looking at. You remember, with all the LEDs on. It's repaired now, so when it comes on now, you'll get the more typical display like that, which is on. Sorry, I'm just trying to get the light off of it. Where are we? If the central heating's on, you would get another dash at the top like that. Yeah, okay. So that shows, and now we've got the what you would expect, because if it had been off, the heat store temperature would be down. We've got the boiler and the boiler pump running, and there's the two associated LED outputs, and you can see the two LEDs are on there. The bottom one's the boiler, the next one up is the boiler circulation pump. So that's a more normal situation. The actual heating wouldn't come on until the heat store had got up to a proper temperature. So this one, when the heat store got up to a reasonable temperature, this would come on. Now, there is a self-test facility on these, and this is an older firmware board. The latest one is version 29, used as a white label. On the version 29, you have to, if I just flick this light on, the version 29, you have to move one of these jumpers here onto position 5. This is configured for Boilermate 2000, by the way. You move it onto position 5, turn the unit, obviously have to do that while it's off, turn it back on, and it will cycle through the self-test. It's a slightly different self-test to this one, but I'll show you this one anyway. Just flick the light back off. On this older version, what you have to do is hold down SW2. There's two little switches here. I'll come back to those in a minute. I'm going to hold down SW2 while I turn it on. Just excuse me while I let go of that. So that's turned it on. Let go. You get all the segments on the display. Then the software version, version 20. Then it'll start to cycle through all the outputs, the boiler circulation pump, the heating pump. The direct hot water pump will be on low speed and it keeps flicking a little bit. In a second it'll go on to high speed and flicker like that. It'll do that a couple of times, and it'll go off and back to normal. So that's the self-test on the older version 20 and below, and then we're back to normal running then. Okay, so if I get a chance, I'll get the newer version and put one of those on self-test, show you what the difference is. The other thing I wanted to show you now we're back to normal is, if you're not sure about the inputs, the various thermistors that measure the heat on the different parts of the unit, you can use SW2. That lets you cycle through them. The first one shows you the tank temperature, the heat store temperature. Press again, and you get the plate heat exchanger temperature. Press again, and you get the one that's at the bottom right of the cabinet on a Boilermate 2000. It's the direct hot water return. If any of those show -er, then you've either got a problem with the wiring or the actual thermistor itself is shot through. They are a solid state thermistor, so they've got electronic devices in them. Just the same, if say this one was reading 99 degrees or something stupid like that, then that's clearly an indication that something's not right. You press it again, by the way, you go back to the beginning again. Okay, so this is the later version of the software, version 29. It's used as a white label like that, or above. And what you have to do to get the self-test to work on these, on the jumpers, there's 5 sets of jumper headers there. You have to put one of the jumpers on number 5 position, which is this one right over this way. Then when you turn the unit on, what happens is you might either get all the segments shown on there or whatever, then it will start going through its self-test. So I'll run the boiler pump, the boiler, then the boiler pump, then the central heating pump. Then it'll put the there's nothing on the next output. Then the direct hot water pump on low speed, then high speed, and then it'll flick back to, oh, that's because I've got that on, and then it'll flick back to the boiler output. The reason that went from low speed to high speed was because if you have the room thermostat, if it was turned on, I've got a switch simulating it here, you can actually flick in the self-test mode between high speed on the plate heat exchanger pump and back to the boiler. Now obviously it's just a test mode that, you know, you wouldn't run it in that for any length of time. It's really just to pulse the outputs to check them. Okay, thank you. Okay, now if your PCB is working okay, basically in terms of, you know, you've got the right digits shown on there like that, or perhaps like that, yeah, that's fine. This bottom bar, by the way, this comes on this bottom segment here. That'll come on when the hot water pump's running. This the direct hot water pump, the one that pumps the water, the one that pumps the water through the plate heat exchanger. Now this SW2 here, there's two little buttons there. I don't know if you can see those, SW1 and SW2. You can press those. If you press SW2 first time, it shows you the temperature of the tank, the hot tank, the heat store. Next one shows you the direct hot water, plate heat exchanger thermistor, the one at the top of the plate heat exchanger. The third one shows you the one at the bottom right of the can. It's the direct hot water return on the Boilermate 2000. These thermistors, by the way, these are an electronic device. There's a chip in there that talks to this. If you get something like this, let me just turn that off, if I unplug that. If you get something like, when you press this, you see like that, it's either a fault with the wiring or the actual device itself. As you can see, I've unplugged this one, so that's what's done that. Also, another indication that there's something wrong with them. If, say, you turn this on and you did SW2 and the heat store was showing 65 degrees and then one of the others is showing something like 88, then clearly that can't be right, you know, and there's something wrong. Or if, say, the heat store is showing something like 99 degrees or something daft like that, then those readings are wrong and there's something wrong with one of the thermistors. So that's a little bit of information on that.